has done a fantastic job in providing access control, auditing, lineage, data discovery capabilities across Databricks workspaces. And it is very powerful for users of Databricks, like the data engineers, analytics, the analytics people, BI scientists, and ML engineers, to know exactly where the data is, to know where the data came from, to be able to audit when things go wrong, to be able to share the data. Now, the challenge that the information producers are facing is when you're a data engineer, you want to make sure that critical data issues are stopped before they hit the pipeline and the reports. When you're a data governance person, you want to publish only the data that is trustable. And when you're an analyst or an analytics person, you only want to use trusted data. You want to investigate the root cause for low trust. And data science and ML folks, they only want to use trusted data. They do not want to corrupt analytical and ML models, and these models have memory. The data that you feed them today, even very, very small amounts in ppm, parts per million levels, will linger for a month or two. Don't let that happen. Act beforehand, catch it. So the challenge for all these people in establishing trusted data is that the traditional approach is non-scalable. It is error-prone. Traditional approach is a 6-step process. One of the key steps is figuring out what rules have to be put in to validate the data. And then you have to code it, check the code, put it in UAT environment, and then production. And those 2 steps take a big chunk of the entire process. So what we have seen is the traditional approach to data quality takes anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks for a single table. Now, the challenge is it's non-standardized. Custom validation has to be created, laborious, heavy dependence on IT, and data steward dependence. And as a consequence, only 10% of the data is validated. And it takes them about 80% of a data scientist's time to validate just 10% of the data. They just don't have the time to validate the other 90% of the data. So the productivity of the data scientist is extremely low. You hired them to get greater insights on the data, but they end up spending most of their time in validating the data. Stop that. Let them do what they're best at, which is getting insights and helping you grow the business. Now, there has been a shift to a modern AI/ML-driven approach, which cuts the data quality validation time from 8 weeks to 6 hours per table. Now, fewer steps are involved. And instead of somebody figuring out what the essential rules are, have an AI/ML engine recommend the rules to you. And DataBuck is designed just to do that. Let the rules run. Activate the rules, deactivate the rules as required. And this reduces the entire time to get value out of your data, to set up the data validation from 4 to 8 weeks to just 6 hours. Now, this modern AI/ML-driven approach is an automated learning system, highly scalable, thousands of tables without adding any headcount to your team. It can integrate with the data catalog to make data more meaningful and more useful. This whole process, because it is automated, is very scalable, very short time to value. New data comes in, it gets validated, you can immediately get insights into it. There's low dependency on the IT. Yes, you can depend on them, but you want to minimize that. And it gives your data science and the analytics and the analysts very high productivity. They're doing the job that they're hired to do, getting insights into data. They're not wasting their time to figure out how to validate the data. Now, integrate the modern approach that I just talked about with Databricks Unity Catalog. Great at giving you all of this. What is missing is the ability to know whether the user can trust the data. Can I get data trust scores? And DataBuck, as a partner of Databricks, does exactly that. It can autonomously measure the data trust score for every table and every file registered within your Unity catalog. And it'll help all the users of data know ahead of time whether the data is usable, whether it can be used to train a model, or it can be used as an input to get predictions from the model. This is very powerful. It automates the whole process. Now, what I'm going to show you, we're going to switch to the demo part. And this is what you're used to, the standard data Unity catalog, Databricks Unity catalog. In the schema, Data Mart Hub, in the table loan data, what you will see is details of all the columns and the metadata on those columns. What if you could now see table level data trustability information? What if you could know that the data trust score for this table was 87 out of 100? And what if you know that there was no change in profile compared to the past run, so the data is reliable, but still the data trust score is low? And you could get detailed information on standardized data validation checks, like are the date columns, all the different date columns you have in your table, are they consistent? Are there too many nulls, too few nulls? Is the distribution of data looking okay? Are there any anomalous values in the different columns, and so on? What if you could also not just get what the columns are and the metadata are, but also a column level data trustability check for a particular column? Are there too many nulls, too few nulls? There seem to be more nulls here, and so on and so forth. So a table level data trustability information and a column level data trustability information, all of them calculated autonomously and fed directly into your Unity catalog.